It is insane how many people have asked me if the moon landings are fake. They are indeed obviously real. Indeed, just as real as the tragic fact that we haven't been back there in half a century. We should have built a permanent base on the moon and Mars by now. It's been half a century since humanity last set foot on the moon. Tragic, but we hold on to hope that history will soon repeat itself. In a significant move, NASA chose SpaceX to spearhead the development of a lunar-optimized Starship Human Landing System, or HLS for short, for the Artemis program. This initiative aims to establish a permanent base on our nearest celestial neighbor. SpaceX is hard at work crafting the two-stage Starship vehicle comprising a super heavy rocket booster to propel the spacecraft into orbit. Notably, Lisa Watson-Morgan, NASA's Human Landing System program manager, yesterday posted to LinkedIn on the remarkable progress from SpaceX in relation to HLS. Had a fantastic trip to South Texas to see remarkable progress on infrastructure for SpaceX in relation to the Human Landing System program, part of the overall Artemis enterprise, returning humans to the moon. In attendance were leadership of Headquarters Exploration Systems and Moon to Mars, she shared. Even more crucially, she affirmed that significant progress in 6 months marked a milestone, alongside witnessing the functioning life support mock-up for future lunar missions. The mention of a functioning life support mock-up indeed heralds exciting developments, wouldn't you agree? In my honest opinion, this all but confirms that the Ship 22 nose cone test article includes working life support and is essentially a high-fidelity prototype of the HLS Starship crew cabin. On the other hand, Ship 26 is another potential star in the galactic orchestra of aerospace. In case you didn't know, this prototype is SpaceX's most mysterious project ever. Even though it was transported to the Rocket Garden in October of last year, operations on Ship 26 have continued discreetly. On January 28th, Ship 26 was raised off the engine install stand, indicating prior work by SpaceX on the ship's engine group at this location. The day before, Ship 26 underwent installation of a third row of external stringers. Subsequently, on day 28, couplers were used to join the third and second rows of external stringers on the vehicle. Observations suggest that these stringers are intended to reinforce the internal tanks. Ship 26 is capable of executing a tank transfer from the header to the main, showcasing to NASA the successful transfer of propellant in orbit. If we don't observe any special connectors or ports on the sides of the spacecraft, then SpaceX may opt to either leave the Starship in orbit or initiate a slow scheduled disassembly, or SSD, by deorbiting it. However, if external transfer ports are present, there is a possibility that SpaceX will retain the craft in orbit to practice ship-to-ship transfers. As of now, there haven't been any indications of transfer ports, unless SpaceX is experimenting with the quick disconnect ports in a novel way. Last year, the appearance of Ship 26 sparked excitement among SpaceX enthusiasts. Its stripped-down design, lacking flaps, a heat shield, or a payload bay, led to speculation that it could be related to the tanker or HLS version of Starship. However, details were scarce at that time. Curiosity peaked when SpaceX conducted a brief ignition of one of Ship 26's 6 Raptor engines on October 20th of the same year as part of a deorbit burn test. Single-engine static fire demonstrating flight-like startup for a Starship deorbit burn. The term deorbit burn denotes the deliberate ignition of a spacecraft's engines to commence its descent and re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. This critical maneuver ensures safe and precise landings, particularly for missions returning from orbital or interplanetary destinations. Returning to Lisa Morgan's announcement, if the mock-up Starship she referenced isn't Ship 22 or Ship 26, we still celebrate SpaceX's ongoing progress. SpaceX is gearing up for the third launch of its massive Starship rocket. However, the precise launch date remains undisclosed pending the Federal Aviation Administration's investigation into the failure of the previous launch in November of 2023. According to Christian Davenport of the Washington Post, the FAA is expected to issue a Starship launch license by mid to late February, consistent with SpaceX's previous announcements. This development brings us closer closer to Flight 3, sparking excitement and anticipation. How do you feel about this upcoming flight? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Next up, in recent news, Polaris Dawn astronauts delved into their training regimen for a historic commercial spacewalk. They shared intriguing details about the SpaceX spacesuit in discussions with Spaceflight Now. The development of extravehicular activity suits, or EVAs, is a significant endeavor. NASA has awarded contracts to both Axiom Space and Collins Aerospace to craft suits suitable for deployment on the moon's surface and for activities outside the ISS. SpaceX's EVA suits are expected to resemble the variants used for extravehicular work outside the ISS. However, SpaceX has maintained tight secrecy regarding their development. Jared Isaacman described the EVA suits as heavier and bulkier compared to the IVA version he used during Inspiration 4. He clarified that this is due to the need for the EVA suits to support additional capabilities. The reality is that SpaceX's pace of development on building an EVA suit is wicked fast right now, Isaacman stated. You start with an IVA suit that's already certified, which has very little mobility under pressure. There are no mechanical joints and it's a last line of defense. You're only using that if everything else in the spacecraft fails into an environment where you have to rely solely on the suit. SpaceX and the Polaris Dawn team have shared images of the training process. Poteet remarked on the complexity of the training compared to his prior experiences in the U.S. Air Force. As of mid-December, Isaacman reported that they had achieved roughly 70% progress towards their mission launch goal since commencing roughly 2 years prior. He emphasized that a significant milestone in SpaceX's future celestial aspirations will be reached once the company is able to deploy its EVA suits. This is important, Isaacman emphasized. They envision a future that's more exciting where people can journey among the stars. You're going to need a lot of spacesuits. They shouldn't cost hundreds of millions. They should cost a lot less. They should be scalable. Once the viability of the suits is demonstrated during the Polaris Dawn mission, Isaacman expressed the hope to utilize them for repairs and to boost the Hubble Space Telescope during the second Polaris program mission. The third mission is slated to mark the maiden crewed launch of a Starship rocket. However, specific dates for these follow-up missions have yet to be disclosed. In our final update for today, Sierra Space's Dreamchaser, resembling a shuttle, underwent rigorous testing this week at a potent NASA vibration facility. This facility replicates the demanding conditions experienced during launch and atmospheric re-entry, ensuring the spacecraft's readiness for space missions. The inaugural spaceplane of a planned series named Tenacity was finalized at the company's facility in Louisville, Colorado in November before being transported to NASA's Neil Armstrong Test Facility in Sandusky, Ohio. There, it underwent testing in the mechanical vibration facility renowned as the world's most powerful spacecraft shaker system. That's shaken, not stirred, according to NASA. Following this phase, the spaceplane will be placed in an extensive in-ground vacuum chamber to simulate the extreme temperatures and low ambient pressure of space. Sierra Space's CEO Tom Weiss expressed enthusiasm during a press event where the spacecraft was showcased in launch configuration coupled with its shooting star cargo module. He emphasized the significance of this year as they prepare to commence orbital operations for NASA, heralding a transformative period in connecting Earth and space. Unlike SpaceX's Crew Dragon, which descends to the ocean on parachutes in a gumdrop-shaped capsule, Dreamchaser theoretically has the capability to land on runways anywhere in the world. This feature is touted as a selling point for clients purchasing services. Future iterations of Dreamchaser will be tailored to accommodate crewed missions, marking an evolution in Sierra Space's spaceflight capabilities. Well, folks, that's about it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you want to support our channel even further, you can hop on over to our Patreon through the link in the description below. Sign up and become a patron today to gain access to exclusive content. Sounds exciting, right? In any case, we still appreciate your generosity and your passion for space exploration. As always, this is Kevin from greatspacex, and until next time, keep looking up.